What is up? Hey everyone, Matt Morris, mattmorris.com. I thought I would pop on here and share a quick story for you from this morning, actually, that spurred a conversation that I had maybe 10 years ago that was really impactful for me. And so I'm going to share that with you. But first, the story from this morning. And listen, as you guys hop on, put your name and everything and where you're from in the comments. I'm tongue tied today. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And let's see. Some of you are part of my newsletter over at mattmorris.com. I send out training and coaching pretty much every day, almost every single day. Every once in a while, I'll take a day off, but rarely. And so this morning, I was sitting in my writing chair here in my office here with my cup of coffee, and 30 minutes go by, and I still don't know what to talk about. And it's funny, after 25 years of doing this and building big teams and all that, I feel like I've got many lifetimes worth of material and training content. So normally it comes to me and I'm like, great, I'll write about this. And I send it out. And this morning it just wasn't happening. So I'm staring at a blank screen and I keep switching over. I'm like, I'll answer some emails, I'll look at social media. And then I go back to the blank screen and nothing's coming to mind. And what I realized is I have a pattern. And when you're struggling, it's important to notice what changed. And so if I notice what changed about my pattern is that I've been a little lazy from an intellectual growth standpoint the last few days. Has just been crazy. My daughter's birthday this weekend, along with my birthday on, September 10th, we celebrated on Saturday, and then Devin and I went out Saturday night. And so anyway, we've been doing some celebrating, have a bunch of big projects going on. And so super busy, and I just haven't been reading. I haven't been learning. I haven't been growing. And that is who I am. I mean, I'm constantly learning and growing, but the last 2 or 3 days, I slacked off. And here's what I notice. And this is something to think about for you. And what I notice is whenever I'm reading, a lot of my best business ideas, a lot of my best leadership ideas, team promotions and contests and marketing strategies and books and different things like that, those ideas are spurred when I'm reading a book or if I'm watching a video from a course that I purchased or something like that. And a lot of times it's at events, and I've got my journal and I'm taking notes and I get aha after aha after aha, and I feel so amazingly creative. And what I notice is if I'm not growing like that, if I'm not reading and learning, that creativity level goes down. And so if you want to spur your creativity, your creative genius, make a commitment to reading every day. And so I will tell you, I wrote a little bit about that in the email that I'll send out probably tomorrow. And another thing came to mind. What it spurred for me was, if you know me, I've read hundreds of books. I had a huge obsession when I was 21 years old. I was homeless, living out of my car, selling swimming pools door to door in southern Louisiana, showering in nasty gas station bathrooms. I would buy a loaf of bread and that would be my food for 2 days. And so I was at rock bottom. And I realized because of personal development, I realized I had to take responsibility for the situation I was in. And this is something that I think is important for all of us to really own up to. Whatever results you're creating in life, you are creating those results because that's what you deserve. If you're not making the money you want, it's not the government's fault. It's not someone else's fault. There's no conspiracy against you. It is your responsibility. And so I said, you know what? All right, I'm homeless. I'm $30,000 in debt. I got no career. I'm lonely. I showered naked in a church parking lot one night. And that was kind of the defining moment of my life when I said, you know what? I've got to take responsibility. And I am where I am because of my mindset and my work ethic. And I didn't have as strong of a work ethic as I should before that. I didn't have a commitment to learning. And so I went on this massive quest to find the secrets of success. And I read hundreds and hundreds of books. I would read a new book every 2 or 3 days. If I wasn't on a sales appointment, I would be at the library or I'd be at a bookstore. I couldn't afford to buy a lot of books when I was homeless. So I would camp out on the floor of bookstores and I'd read their books until they'd close. I'd come back the next morning and finish the book. And what happened is that's when my reinvention started happening. That's when things started to click for me. And I went from 21 to 24, homeless, $30,000 in debt, living out of my car, bathing in gas station bathrooms, living in my little red beat up Honda Civic, to earning a six-figure income, then a multiple six-figure income, $1 million in the bank at 29. And it was largely due to the fact that I decided to start working like a maniac, but also investing in my own education like a maniac. And I was, I didn't do very well in school. Let's just say I was the kid who finished in the half of the class that made the top half possible. My grades about as good as the kid sitting next to me, right? So I was not a stellar student. I went to college. I dropped out before I failed out. I did not believe I was very intelligent. And I kind of carried that with me for a long time. And when I started earning six figures, a lot of that came from the confidence that I had developed because of personal development. So even though my mindset was, even though I'm not so smart, and maybe not so intelligent, I can still create huge results because I'm so well read, because I have so much knowledge. But I still kind of carried on this, like, I'm not really that intelligent with me. And I was having a conversation, again, going back at least 10 years. And it was a guy who's doing his PhD, his thesis on leadership. And what he did is he went back over, wow, we have 140 people on. Very, very cool. And by the way, if you do decide to share this, drop me the words shared so we can give you a shout out for sharing it. And I have not been looking at the comments here. Tend to get a little distracted. So great seeing you guys on. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Cool. Thank you for the comments. And so he went back over the last 100 years and he studied all the experts in leadership, the leadership gurus for the last 100 years. And he came up with 5 criteria of all the leadership gurus over the past 100 years. He said they have these 5 characteristics. And I'm sure you've read leadership books and it talks about how, you got to be confident, and you got to have faith, and you have to have vision and all this stuff, right? And so he's like, what are the common things over the last 100 years? Well, one that came up was intelligence. And at this point, I had created huge results, hundreds of thousands of people in my organization. I really believed I was a really powerful leader at the time, made millions of dollars, traveled all over the world. But I didn't see myself as intelligent. And so I started arguing with him on that. And I said, well, I don't think that's the case. And I start sharing with him how myself and other great leaders that I know, we were really bad students. We weren't really smart. And he said, no, you are highly, highly intelligent. And here's why. What intelligence is not your natural born IQ. Your intelligence is your capacity to learn. Your capacity to learn is your intelligence. And if you look at the great leaders of our time, they were all, without exception, they were all very committed to learning and growing. And if you look at, it was a study, CEOs of the Fortune 500 or 100 companies, on average, they read like 50 books a year. Crazy, the amount of learning that goes into great leadership. And so I started thinking about intelligence a little bit differently. And, as we got to talking, intelligence, your capacity to learn, is something that grows based on how much you learn. And the simple fact that I had read hundreds and hundreds of books, gone to probably hundreds of seminars and tons of courses and audios, you name it. It's been my life for over 20 years now, because I've developed that capacity to learn. And the reason why I just wanted to share with you this quick video is because I think there are so many people in the networking profession and in entrepreneurial and heck in life in general that just don't see themselves as intelligent. And here's the reality. It's like saying, oh, I don't have any muscle, so I can't grow a muscle. Well, a muscle has to be worked. Your mind works like a muscle. So if you want to have a really big bicep, what do? You do a lot of bicep curls. You work the muscle, and your brain is the same way. And so what happens is the more you work your bicep, the more weight, the more capacity of weight that you can lift. And the more that you learn, the more capacity you have to learn and absorb information. And so if you feel like maybe you're like me, where you didn't feel like you're very smart and very intelligent, realize that it's just capacity. And if you'll make a commitment to making personal growth a major priority in your life, and you'll push yourself and you'll work that muscle, guess what? You'll gain an incredible capacity. And I will tell you, my level of confidence when it comes to being intelligent, and I don't like getting on here and saying, hey, I'm intelligent, because it sounds like I've got a big ego. But personally, that's been a breakthrough for me, because I really am intelligent, where I didn't feel like I was for so many years, even when I had created a lot of success. So I hope this helps you, my friends. If you enjoyed this, hit the share button. Love to hear your comments below. I'll go back and read every single one. And if you'd like to be on my email list, you'll get that email tomorrow or the next day. I think I have another one maybe queued up before that. So you can go to mattmorris.com, put your name and email address in, and you will be subscribed to the best damn newsletter in network marketing, and you will enjoy it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Love you guys.